So a lot of people want to know how they compare, how they stack up to other people. And so that's what we're going to be showing and talking about
I guess
in
we
this
don't really
episode.
love doing this because, everybody's on their own journey and
The reason that I like something like this, so we're going to be talking about 5 signs that you're doing better financially than the average American. It isn't to feel good or to put someone else down, but, well, I think it is to get like a healthy dose, because I've talked to people too often who are so stressed out about their finances, and then I like shine a different perspective on it for them. And they're like, oh, so you mean I'm actually doing okay? And I'm like, yeah. Like you're not doing too bad. Like, give yourself a break,
Yeah.
And that's what I would like this to be, because inevitably there's going to be some people listening to this who are not doing this well, and the goal isn't for you to feel like, oh man, I'm not doing as well. Like this is just an article. This is just average numbers, and yes, everyone has a different journey and.
Yeah, and I mean,
path.
it's also something, I don't think anything on this list is so out of reach for most people.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of something that you can be like, oh, okay, I could kind of start moving in that direction.
Yeah, and the other
That might
thing,
be a good thought. It's like, let's start moving in that direction rather
yeah,
than...
it might help you identify some areas where, yeah, I haven't really spent much time or focus on that. And maybe I should.
Right.
So take it as that, but don't take it as, oh man, I'm a failure, I'm doing terrible or whatever. And at the same time, if you're doing great and you're above this, that doesn't mean, all right, well, I'm going to coast. Like,
Right.
take what you need to take from this. And I guess that's our prayer, is that you would take the thing from this that you need to take.
Yes.
And not the wrong thing. And one of the things I'm thinking about too, just as another caveat here, is I was talking to a friend about this the other day. With parenting, one of the first discoveries that I made, and I don't even know what specifically this was, but with our oldest son, I remember kind of being, discouraged, that first the parent of a first child thing where it's, oh, my kid isn't doing this thing as fast as the other kid down the street is, and you're getting all stressed out and nervous about it. And then shortly after that, I had this revelation of, oh, wow, okay, so I could spend like 20 hours or 50 hours trying to teach him, get him to do this thing at this age, but if I wait 6 months longer, it's going to take me 15 minutes.
Yes.
Because developmentally, he is just in a different season,
Right.
and he's going to catch it so much quicker. So I'm saying that just in case that someone's situation fits that a little bit, where it's like there's something with your season of life and the adaptation of what's going on, where that gives you a little bit of grace to just be like, all right, well, I'm not exactly there, but this has been going on, and I suspect in 6 months it's going to be different,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's a long intro to it, but
Right. That is a long intro.
should we get to it?
I guess we should start with the list.
All right, so I want to just
Number
kind
one.
of, so this comes from an article on MSN. We'll have that link in the description. You can read it yourself, judge it yourself, and
Judge
go
it
from
yourself.
there. But the first one on this list, and these are all based on studies that have been done. So you have more than $4,500 in savings, okay? So 51% of Americans have $5,000 or less stored in savings, according to a Motley Fool survey that was done. So that right there, $4,500 in savings, we'll call that the average in America. And again, this is all ages. I mean, I don't know if this is just adults. I'm not sure what it's based on, but
Right.
but yeah, that's interesting.
Interesting.
What do you think? Do you think
Okay.
that's higher or lower than you expected?
I don't know what I expected.
You just didn't expect anything.
I didn't expect anything. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it depends on your current lifestyle. Like for someone our age with 3 kids in the size house that we live in the city that we live in, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think, yeah, $4,500 in savings, but also in some ways I'm like, that seems a little low also.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. But like, financial experts have a wide range of how much they think you should have in savings and in an emergency fund and stuff. And we'll talk about that another
But again,
point.
this is just like, if you have this, great job. You're doing
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You should feel real good.
But if you don't have any money in savings, it's like,
Let's start working towards
let's
that.
try to figure that out. Let's try to figure out how to get you some money sitting in savings, like having $2,000-$3,000 sitting aside is, this, like, it just makes you feel better.
It just-
like
it's a little
nice
cushion.
to have that cushion there.
However, if you don't have this money, you're in a great spot also because you are in the position to really trust the Lord, where you have no other options. And honestly, sometimes the desperation brings you closer to the Lord and you see some miracles. So don't be discouraged if you don't have it too.
Yep. Anyway,
remember,
we're hitting both sides of this.
We see finances very different than the world does because we have a provider beyond ourselves.
Number two. You have more than $30,000 in your 401k. Okay.
All right.
So according to Vanguard's study that they did, the median amount Americans have between ages of 34 and 54 is $30,000. Okay.
All right.
So there you go.
I have no opinion on this. What do you think? Does that sound about right to you?
For me, this completely depends on the age. If I'm 55, 60 years old, I feel like that we need to get to work. Like that's pretty low. If you're in your early mid 30s, it's like, I think that's great. Just the fact that you're doing it, because so many people will not even enroll in a 401k program until their mid 40s.
So if you're not already
50s.
in a 401k program or 403b, if you're at a non-for-profit, now's the time to start.
I will throw out the super common, but yet still not often taken advice of, if your employer has a matching program, it's free money. Take their free money that they're trying to give you.
Take the money and run.
And so we have this for our employees where basically we match. They put money in, and then we add money to that. And so there's more incentive for them and us, we're employees.
Well, plus it's also like, if you don't take it, it's you basically saying, I don't want my company to pay me more money.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
everybody wants more money, and they are giving it. They will only give it to you in a specific form. So take it, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. They're helping you out to save for your future.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think some people, might be asking the question, all right, well, you just said I should save money and I should try to get a few $1,000s in savings. Like, should I do this or that? And that's one of those questions that isn't a black and white thing, but I think, money that you put in your 401k, it's a lot harder to get out. Money that's in your savings, that's more accessible for emergencies and situations like that. Mm-hmm. So I think both. I think both of them are important for different reasons. But at the end of the day, just do one of them. Do something. Pick one and do one.
Well, and maybe this is the first one. It says you can cover an emergency of more than $2,000.
So that's number 3 on our list.
Yeah, we'll just give you one of our stories from... one of our non-success stories. When we first got married, it was our 1-year anniversary, and it was so cute and so romantic. You surprised me with a beach vacation on our 1-year anniversary. I mean, it was a nice trip, but it was not like, we went to Tulum and, it was like we went to a friend who had a beach house, and we stayed at their beach house for free. It was great. So we were like, we'll pay for gas to get down there. We need a little extra to get gas down there. We'll just buy groceries most of the time. We'll go out to eat a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really modest trip.
We were broke in that season.
We didn't have a lot of money. And so it was a modest trip, but it was like, for us, we were like, this is amazing. It's the beach. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So on our way back, we're about 90 miles from home, I think. We knew it was coming. We went down to Gulf Shores. We drove up to Memphis, and we were living in St. Louis at the time. And the transmission started acting a little bit weird, and we're like,
guys, it got so weird. We were staying in Graceland, right?
We stayed at the Heartbreak Hotel.
We stayed at the Heartbreak Hotel. And which no one told me that it's pretty sketchy part of town.
Safest part of town, right?
And then on top of that, our transmission was going out, and so it was so janky at that point. I couldn't. It was an automatic transmission, but I couldn't start it in drive. I had to start it in first gear. You know how automatic transmissions have 1 and 2 normally. I'd start it in first gear and then rev it up, and then go into second, and then throw it into drive. And I had to do that every time.
It was not great. I mean, but it got us to 90 miles outside of St. Louis,
and
then the whole thing, it just blew up. So we did not have any money, and it was now we have to pay for a tow truck to take us not just down the road, but 60 miles that way, or
drive,
something.
Yeah.
it was not great. But then, because it was the transmission in the car was fairly old, it was old enough that it didn't make sense to repair it. It just made sense to piece out of that thing.
Yeah.
So then we were stuck without a car for a while. And I mean...
Well, we had my car, right?
We had your car,
We didn't have two cars, but we both had jobs.
We had 2 jobs in opposite directions. Like, they were in opposite directions. So what we did was...
I think that's when I had the boss who
if you're
had
a minute late,
3-strike rule.
Gosh.
Was if I was a minute late 3 times, she would fire us.
So it's not like... And I don't think you could have just dropped me off at work because that would have been too early. And the building wouldn't have been opened, So anyway, but we didn't really know what to do for a while because I don't think we had this. We didn't have
the $2,000 saved up,
I mean, maybe we had $1,000, but it was like, a new car, buying a new car was not really an option. I think even fixing the transmission wasn't really an option.
Yeah.
Because that would have been at least $3,000.
So what did we do?
So, I mean, like we just decided to get creative, and we decided to what we did was, instead of paying the price quickly to fix this problem for convenience sake, and some might even argue that it was for the sake of, well, we have to get to work so that we can pay for this car, we got as creative as we could and tried to just stay nimble of like, okay, well, you can take the car to do this. And, what was nice at that point is your mom worked at the same place I worked. We worked together. So what was nice about it is that our house was on her way to work. So we just asked her. I mean, it was sort of, sheepishly like, can I just ride to work with you? Like,
can I hitchhike with you for a little bit?
I will meet you.
I'm going to be standing on the side of the highway with my thumb out. If you want to pick me up.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, it was a bit. We did this for a little while, but we both had to be at our job. Like, we didn't have the option of working remote. But I mean, nowadays, like, that's really common where it's like, you could just be like, all right, we're down a car. Can I work remote? You just ask that question. How long will you let me work remote? Can I work remote certain days of the week? You know what I mean?
It is so funny because pre-2020, like,
that was not
almost
a thing.
Every boss is like,
absolutely not.
There's no way I'm going to let you work from home.
In fact, I remember at that time, someone had asked the boss if they could work remote.
Who was the boss? Let's tell him.
It was Bob's mom. She was the boss. But she said, no, because if you're not, I'm the manager, and if you're not here, I can't manage my employees. I mean, it was a very different world then.
I wonder what she would say if she was still the boss post-2020.
Right. It's a good question. We should ask her. Let's interview her.
We should bring her on.
So anyway, all that to say, we got creative. We tried to be as nimble as possible, and it worked out that we saved up and made a good decision on a car that actually really was a good decision. Like, you did a lot of research, and we waited for the right time.
Yeah, and that brings up another point too. Like, whenever you have to make a big purchase like that and you are in a rush, like, I have to buy a car like in 2 days, like, that's just the worst way to do it. And you're just going to have so much, you're going to more likely get ripped off,
right?
By doing that and just not get a good deal. With patience is how you get a better deal. It's how, you're going to come out ahead on something like that. So being able to, and that was part of it. Like, I didn't want to rush. I knew that we weren't going to make a good decision if we rushed.
Yeah. Anyway, we can talk more about that on another podcast. But so, that was one of the things where it was like, we didn't have this, and I wish we would have.
Yeah.
But, we just moved towards it. Now we'd be okay, because you work from home.
Now I work from home.
And so do I.
All right, so number 4 on this list is that you have less than $6,500 in credit card debt. And so, like, this still surprises me. I don't know why.
That
I
most
guess
people have over
we've just been out of credit card debt so long that it's just surprising to me.
I feel like I meet a lot of people who are like, I don't have any debt except for my house.
Yeah. No, I do too. But the average American has $6,500 in credit card debt. So it's clearly really common. I do know that, we've surveyed, SeedTime community in different ways. And there's a good number of people who have no credit card debt. But then there's a good people who have tons and tons
A good number of people?
Yeah.
You said there's a good people.
There's a lot of good people.
There's that too.
Yeah. So anyway, regardless of where you stand on this spectrum, the opportunity here is if you do have $6,500 in credit card debt, like that's a decent amount of interest that you're paying each month. And so getting rid of them,
it's not just like you lose the credit card payment. It's that now you're not paying interest too.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep. And so that was like the first,
to move forward.
I think for us, the first whoa, we're really starting to move forward financially. Like once we got rid of our credit cards, because that right there, like honestly added about $1,000 a month of extra income to do something with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Extra cash. Once we got rid of all the credit card payments and everything we had to pay back on those, it's like, wow, now we have all this money. All right, let's put it towards the student loans and pay that off. Let's put it towards savings. Let's put it towards giving more. Like whatever the thing is. And that's when I felt like, wow, we have options. Like we can actually move forward financially. It doesn't feel tight anymore like it did. So anyway, and again, like a lot of what we're talking about here, this isn't like stuff that you've never heard before.
Right.
But part of our job is to just remind and encourage you, and to help you down the path, help provide the tools and resources for you to move forward down your own financial journey, without feeling all guilty and feeling shame for where you are,
Yeah.
So
there we go. All right. The last one is your total net worth is at least $100,000.
Yeah. So we did another episode on AUM, which is what we don't use the term net worth. We prefer the term AUM. Listen to that episode.
Yeah, if you want to hear all about that.
And that episode teaches you everything you need to do to actually know what your net worth or AUM is. So I won't get into all that here, but $100,000, that's interesting to me. Like I think if that's the average for Americans, like that's a little bit low, because to me anyway, because so many people own a home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the appreciation of homes over the last 5 years or something has been pretty significant. So there's been a lot of people who might have a lot of debt, but just with home appreciation alone, might be at this number.
Yeah. But at the same time, student loans have also gone up significantly.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's your number for you. If your net worth is at least $100,000, AUM is at least $100,000.
Then you're doing better than most.
Then you're doing better than the average American. So
there you go.
Anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Send us a DM on Instagram at SeedTime, or send us an email, bob@SeedTime. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, what your thoughts are on this. If there's anything that you're like, that's interesting. Or if there's other things you would add to this list. Maybe you have some of this data in your whatever.
Okay, so we've been doing this thing where we want to read some podcast reviews, which is great. But if we read your review, we want to give you something too. So if we find out that you have left a review, we want to give you a gift card. So incentive for you to leave some reviews, because this really is how we help get the word out about the podcast.
Yeah, it helps a lot with iTunes and whatever, all those.
So I'm going to read one now. So this is Paula. I don't know how to say your last name. I think it's Fayel. And I believe you live in Australia.
Coming from the land down under.
Yeah, this is super awesome. But it says, the information and testimonies are great. The book and the podcast have been very helpful in helping me understand my financial situation better and helping me know ways I can get on top with my thinking about finance and making good practical steps to more freedom. So that's awesome. So
thanks, Paula. Thanks for leaving the review. Send me an email, bob@seedtime.com, and we'll get you a $25 Amazon gift card.
Woo.
Thank you for leaving the review. And anybody else, again, head over to Apple or Spotify or wherever and leave us a review. And we might just read yours and send you a gift card.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
We really love creating fresh content for you each week, but if you have not checked out our book, Simple Money, Rich Life, this really is our best work, and we have some free resources we want to tell you about.
So if you enjoy listening to our soothing voices, then you can download Chapter 1 of the audiobook.
And if you prefer to read, we have the first 2 chapters of the ebook version.
Or we even have a 5-week book study outline based on this book. You can download all of this for free at seedtime.com/sample.